Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Rama, Hare
Hare Rama
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama
Hare.
Rama Hare Hare.
Yeah. So today we are going to read from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 11th verse.
11th verse. Okay.
So after me, Yatanto yoginaschainam
Atanto yoginaschainam
Pashyanti Atman Avasthitam
Pashyanta Atmana Avasthitam
Yatantopi Akrutatmano
Yatantopi Tatmano
Nainam Pashyati Achetasaha
Nainam Pashyanta Chetashaha
Yatanto yoginaschainam
Yatanto yoginaschainam
Pashyanti Atmani Avasthitam
Pasyanti Atmani Pasvasthitam
Yatanto api Akrutatmano
Yatantopi Atmanam
Nainam Pashyanti Achetasaha
Nainam Pashyante Yachataha
Yatanto yoginaschainam
Yatanto yoginaschainam
Pashyanti Atmani Avasthitam
Pasyanti Atmani Bhavasthitam
Yatanto api Atkrutatmano
Yatanto Apakrita Atmano
Nainam Pashyanti Achetasaha.
Nainam Pasyanti Chetashaha.
Anyone would want to recite the verse?
Yes, I will do that. Jatanto yogi naschainam
Yatanto yoginaschainam
Pashyanti Atmana Vasthitam
Pashyanti Atmani Avasthitam
Jatanto Apakritatmana
Yatanto Akrutatmano
Nainam Pashyanta Chetasaha.
Nainam Pashyanti Achetasaha. Anyone?
Yatanto yoginaschainam
Yatanto yoginaschainam
Naschainam
Pashyanti Atmani Avasthitam
Pashyanti Atmani Avasthitam
Tantopi Akratmano
Yatantopi
Jatantopi Kakrita Sthane
Nainam Pashyanti Achetasaha.
Nainam
Nainam Pashyanti Chetashaha.
Yatanto yoginaschainam
Jatanto yoginaschainam
Pashyanti Atmani Avasthitam
Pashyanti Atmani
Atmani
Avasthitam
Avasthitam
Yatantopi Akratatmano
Jatantopi Akrita Atmanam
Nainam Pashyanti Achetasaha.
Nainam Pashyanti Chetashaha.
word for word.
Yatanto yoginaschainam
Jatanto yoginaschainam
Pashyanti Atmanamasitam
Pashyanti Atmani
Pashyanta
Avasthitam
Visithitam
Yatanto Kritaatmano
Yatantopi
Jatanto Aprakita
Akrutatmano
Atmano
Nainam Pashyanti Chetasa
Nainam Pashyanti
Pashyanti
Chetasaha.
Achetasaha. Okay, go forward. Yatantaha,
Jatantaha
endeavoring.
Endeavoring
Yoginaha,
Yoginaha
transcendentalists.
Transcendental
Cha,
cha,
also,
also,
enam,
enam,
this,
this,
pashyanti,
pashyanti,
can see,
can see,
atmani,
atmani,
in the self,
itself,
avasthitam,
avasthitam,
situated,
creator,
etantaha,
yatantaha,
endeavoring,
devouring,
api,
api,
although,
also,
akrutatmanaha,
arkitatmanaha,
those without self-realization,
soul without the realization,
na,
na,
do not, enam,
enam,
this,
this,
pashyanti,
pashyanti,
see,
see,
achetasaha,
achatasaha,
having undeveloped
having
minds.
undevelopment.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace C.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Purport. There are many transcendentalists on the path of spiritual self-realization, but one who is not situated in self-realization cannot see how things are changing in the body of the living entity. The word yoginaha is significant in this connection. In the present day, there are many so-called yogis and there are many so-called associations of yogis, but they are actually blind in the matter of self-realization. They are simply addicted to some sort of gymnastic exercise and are satisfied if the body is well built and healthy. They have no other information. They are called yatanto api atkrutatmanaha. Even though they are endeavoring in a so-called yoga system, they are not self-realized. Thus, people cannot understand the process of the transmigration of the soul. Only those who are actually in the yoga system and have realized the self, the world, and the Supreme Lord, in other words, the Bhakti Yogis, those engaged in pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness, can understand how things are taking place. Translation once again. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly, but those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Okay. So we are at the second part of the 15th chapter overview. So first, 7 verses, it describes about the how to get out of this material world, taking a metaphor of a banyan tree. But in from after that 7th verse, it starts 7 to 11. It describes the if you don't get detached from these material attachments, so otherwise it creates bondage and it's times and the soul transmigration happens. So in that section, this is the last verse. So this verse is describing let's see the link between previous verse and this verse. So last verse, it says, the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. So the verse, it says, Pashyanti Jnana Chakshushaha. So that Jnana Chakshu means the to see the reality. That Chakshu means eyes. Jnana means knowledge. The persons who have the trained eyes of the knowledge, they can see this all the changes in the body and everything. So here in this verse is describing who has the Gnana Chakshu and why do some people have Gnana Chakshu and why do some people don't have Gnana Chakshu. So that two categories this verse is describing. So let's see the verse, understand the verse. Yatanta. Yatanta is endeavoring. So putting efforts. Yoginaschainam. So transcendentalist. Yogis means transcendentalist. Pashyanti atmani avastitam. Pashyanti means to see. Can see. Atmani avastitam. Avastitam is situated. So the transcendentalist who endeavor towards the spiritual, to see the spiritual reality, they situated in spiritual platform. So that is the first half of the verse. And second half is etantopi atkrutatmano. So the people who endeavor, but although they are not situated in self-realization. So akrutatmano. Why means nainam pashyanti achetasaha, because their minds are not yet developed. See, that's why second part of the verse is like third phrase, like A, B, C, D. If you take four stanzas and C and D says the second part of the verse. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization, they cannot see. What they cannot see? They cannot see. It's a link to the previous verse. They cannot know how the living entity quitting the body. They cannot know how the changes are happening in the body, and they cannot know about the soul's journey. All this they can't see, though they are practicing. So though they are trying, though they are putting endeavors, but if their minds are not developed, they can't situated in the self-realization path. So let's see the difference between these two. And at last, like Prabhupada mentions, especially the Bhakti Yoga is the one, the persons who engage in the pure devotional service, they can understand all these things very clearly. So that part we can discuss. So 3 parts. So let's see the first part. Yatanto yoginaschainam. The people who put endeavor, they pashyanti atmani avastitam. They situated. So they put the endeavor, and at the same time they situated in the self-realization path. The second part says they put the endeavor, but they akrutatmano and achetasaha. These are the qualities. The second part. They put the endeavors, but they can't perceive the changes, and they can't have the developed minds. So in the spiritual quest, like whenever we travel, or whenever we inquisitive towards the spirituality, not only the desire and strive to perceive the spiritual reality, that is not going to help us enough. Having the desire, I want to know this, or having the strive, but that efforts, whatever we put, that efforts has to lead to gnana chakshu. So when it leads to gnana chakshu, then we can pashyati atmana avastitam. That gnana chakshu leads us to see and to make us to situate in spiritual platform of self-realization. So let's see, the endeavor and willpower alone is not enough to go towards to the spiritual realization. So Prabhupada would like to mention as an example. So if there is a blind man is there, and if we put very beautiful, very magnificent or very famous painting in front of the blind man and ask him to watch. So even how much long the blind man glares, or like stares, or like he can glance, how long he can sit, but no matter how long he glares, there is no use, because he can't see anything. So in the same way, when we put endeavors, if it is not helping us, then that endeavor is not going to help us anyway. So there is a process to perceive the paint. So to see that paint, to realize what is there in front of us, there is a process. How can we make blind man to see the painting? So that process is, we can let him go through the surgery to get the eyes. Then through the eyes he can see, and he can get the gnanachakshu. That gnanachakshu is nothing but when the process is here is yatanto endeavor. That endeavor is nothing but which is leads to pashyanti and atmani avastitam. So that whatever endeavor one we are going through in the spiritual life, that endeavor should going to help us to see the reality, the supreme higher reality. And when we see or when we perceive that thing, then we are going to that yogis, that transcendentalists are going to situate atman avastitam in spiritual platform. So how can see here, like two things are happening. The people who are self-realized, they can see the soul, and the people who are not in the self-realized platform, they can't see the soul. So which is going to happen first, whether we have to be in spiritual platform to see the soul, or we have to see the soul to be in the spiritual platform. So in these two, which is going to happen first? So let's see this one by taking two words, that is perceive and pursue. Perceive means to see, to watch, or to see, and pursue is go back, behind. Like if we get any interest information, we go behind that one, or we investigate more, like that. So pursuing. So in these two words, actually what comes, whether we see the soul first, or whether we inquisitive towards the spiritual reality. So in these two, which is going to come first is, first actually comes the hearing. The hearings, the submissive hearing, the hearing from the right source and pure devotees of Lord Krishna. By hearing, what is going to happen, one can understand what there is a higher reality. And when one can understand that there is a higher reality, due to this pursuing, going back behind that attraction, or going back behind that inquisitiveness, I want to know more, that is going to lead us to perceive the spiritual soul and changes and everything. So the same the little bit initially, there is a little bit of pursuing comes first. So the inquisitive or interest or liking, or the devotees, we like the devotees and we want to go with them, or want to do some service, or some pursuing, some liking mentality, that is going to start it going to establish the connection to the devotees. From there, the perceiving, this to see the that one, the pashyati and atmani avastitam, that is going to lead towards to the pashyati, is nothing but seeing. So that whatever that little first is there, that is called shraddha. Adau Shraddha. So starting in the bhakti comes, the first stage is Shraddha. Even it's not like, high-end kind of full-fledged, unflinching faith, but still like initial, very serious, little faith. That faith leads us towards to the spiritual quest in spiritual, in searching of the spiritual reality. So that is the first part. And here, the second part, when we come, etantopi akrutatmano. So they put the endeavor. But what is going to happen? They have two things. Akrutatmano, they can't realize about the self-realization. And achetasaha. Achetasaha is a thing, but their minds are not yet developed. Chetasaha means consciousness. Okay, so this word previously in chapter 2, Krishna used in 224, Bhogaishwarya Prasittanam Tayapahruta Chetasam. So apahruta there. So apahruta means who kidnaps or kind of steals the consciousness. So that is the one, like chetasaha means like grasping. Chetasaha. Apahruta jnana. So that apaharan is nothing but kidnap. So when one don't want to get kidnapped their consciousness with this maya, so then the kidnap word have two words, kid and nap. So our spiritual practices should not be like a kid. So how the kid behaves, sometimes the kid plays with one toy and keeps playing with that same toy only. Sometimes same toy in one day completely rejects, not even touching. And sometimes the kid even don't touch the toy like for days. So it's like flickering. Some days like attract means we can do, otherwise no. So this kind of mentality in the spiritual quest is not going to work. So one should, when we have this kind of mentality, this maya is going to kidnap us. Like the kid kind of mentality is not going to help us in spiritual realization. One should be in a situated very seriously, like endeavor, constant endeavor. And that like kind of how serious it is like when we become adults, like sometimes we have our feelings, but the circumstances make us to do forcefully against to our feelings. Like when we are working in the office, like boss comes and asks why you haven't finished this work, then we can't say like I did not feel like doing this work, so I haven't done. Then boss says that don't come to the work, like that. So we can't say, even though we don't want to work, the circumstances forces us to work to that situation because we need to survive. So due to that one, the adults have that kind of what can I say, the adjustment, the priorities towards, even something is not to convenient, but still go ahead giving the priority to the situations. And so that kind of prioritization, adjustment, maturity is there in the adults. So that kind of situation, that kind of mentality should require in the spiritual practices. So one should judge, or one should be able to prioritize like activities in their like regular life. So how serious the spiritual practice is, like that. So always we need to be like very serious in spiritual practice. The second one is nap is nothing but like taking some free time, or lazy, or it leads to lazy sometimes, like exceptions we can take as bodies tired means we can take, but if we addict to that one, it's going to become a lazy. That laziness is not going to help us anyway in spiritual or self-realization part. So whenever that kind of small rest comes in our spiritual practice, so Maya is waiting to take our consciousness grab. So there is a verse, it says Krishna bulya jiva bhoga vancha kare nikata aste pasvite maya tare japatiya dhare. So it's in Bengali. So it says, it means that as soon as living entity wants to enjoy life without Krishna, without God, immediately he becomes under the clutches of Maya. So this is our position. We are all under the control of Maya. How can we get out of this one? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:14, like ma mevaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So if one wants to get out of these clutches of Maya, so one has to surrender to Krishna. Maya ma mevaye prapadyante. Prapadyante is surrender. So one has to get surrendered to Krishna, then only one is have the option to get out of these clutches of Maya. So that's why Krishna consciousness, how it's going to help us is Krishna consciousness constant steady. It's a climbing as a steps. We need to climb, keep going. Sometimes we feel so energetic, we want to do a lot of health services and very enthusiastic, and sometimes we feel like so dry and pushing required from ourselves, and that's why we need to stay in devotees association. So that's the thing, we need to give scope to surrounding devotees, like ask us if we are not going anywhere or doing not service, hey Prabhu, hey Mataji, I'm not saying you what happened, everything is okay. So that is going to push, that is the what, like devotees association is an asset for us. So that asset is going to help us to push ourselves towards to the spiritual self-realization. So Krishna consciousness is a constant endeavor, and with the guidance, not only the endeavor, with guidance. So how can one can situate in the self-realization? So what does it mean actually to situate in the spiritual platform is, so one has to get act at the level of the soul as much as possible. So when one acts at the level of the soul, that's the where he is working on the spiritual platform. So get rid of like not acting at the level of the body. So what does it mean acting on the level of the body is letting the bodily like desires and drives rule our life. If we allow the desires of the body, desires or drives, whatever like we have get attract with this body, like if you let them rule our life, then we are acting on the level of the body. If we are acting at the spiritual level means letting the needs and opportunity of the soul to shape our life. So thinking, working or acting on the platform of the soul. So if anything, if want, how it's going to help to this one, what is the reality, what is temporary, what is permanent, whatever, if whatever the soul's needs and opportunities are there, let that shape our life. So that is the level of work, actual acting on the at the level of the soul. So these two are spiritual platform, means not fully self-realized. It should not be like, if like starting state, we may not be in fully self-realized, like knowing everything, what is what and everything, but it starts, it's a small steps. So that we need to choose, like, by choosing not letting the bodily desires or drives rule our life. That is the biggest step we can take in towards the spirituality. Realizing the bodily desires are not going to help us in any way, in for like, eternal time or in a long time. That realization is a biggest step in a spiritual quest. So when we realize, and after the biggest challenge is giving priority to the soul wise, like the bodily desires keep coming, but we need to choose the choices of the soul, let the opportunity give to the soul to get closer to the Krishna. That challenge is there, but this challenge is going to become our big make practice. How we can do that one, we will see in the we will discuss further. So this is what, it's the first one. So first one is the people who put endeavor and who act at the level of the soul. They are situated at spiritual platform. That is what first half. Yatanto yoginas chainam. Yatanto yoginas chainam pashyanti atma avastitam. Now coming to the second part, let's see. Yatanto apya akrutatmano. So they put endeavor. So those are the transcendentalist yogis. They put the endeavor, but they can't see all these things due to the undeveloped mind. So what is the, like, difference between both are keeping, both transcendentalists, both yogis are keeping endeavor, but in the second part, what is going to happen, that etanto, that endeavor, whatever it's there, it refers to misinformed endeavor or misguided endeavor. So same example of blind person. If the blind person glare on painting, there is nothing is going to happen. There is no productive output we will get, whether he can perceive it or he can give some output, nothing. If he go through the process of getting eyes to him and let him see the painting, then there is a productive, like, output comes, like he watches the paint and he can give the output on what is what and everything. So the previous process is a productive way, and this process is the unproductive way. Even though we see the endeavor in this case, but the output is nothing. It's like it's improper endeavor, we can say. First one is proper endeavor, here improper endeavor, we can say. So how can that proper endeavor, how can we make this improper endeavor to proper, means we need guide. We need a guide, and we need guidance to add to our endeavors. When we add guidance to the endeavor, that is going to make us to determine on which we are looking for. So that guide is nothing but spiritual master. The spiritual master is going to guide us with, and he gives the strength towards to our endeavors. So when the endeavor plus guidance comes, that leads to take tangible steps towards our spiritual quest. That leads to take tangible steps towards to self-realization. So how this one is going to let's see. There is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the section of Prahlad Maharaj, everyone knows the Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu story. So when Prahlad Maharaj comes from the Gurukul, and Hiranyakashipu asks, okay, you have been long time into the Gurukul, and what did you learn from the Guru, with your teachers? And Prahlad Maharaj replies, and his reply makes Hiranyakashipu, like, wild. Where did you got all this knowledge? And he scolds the Sanda and Amarka, the sons of Shukracharya too. So that's time again to reply to that anger. Prahlad Maharaj says this verse 7.5.31. Nate viduhu swartha gatim hi vishnam durashayaye bahirartamanina andaya dante rupagiyamanas tepi shatantriya murudam nibaddha. So this verse is saying, I'll read the translation: persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life, and who have therefore accepted as their leader or guru a similar blind man attached to external sense objects, cannot understand that the goal of life is to return home back to Godhead and engage in the service of Lord Vishnu. As a blind man guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch. Similarly, attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords, and they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering the threefold miseries. So in this one, I want to phrase the third line, Anda Yadanter Upagiyamanas. So if we don't choose the guide that the spiritual master properly, so the blind man, one blind man leads to another. If we trust on another blind man who is attached to the material existence, then definitely both are going to, like, in a wrong way, and they fall in ditch. So that is the one we need to choose the guide very, very in who comes in the parampara system. It's not like anybody who knows they can choose. So nowadays in Kali Yuga, there are a lot of fake gurus and lot of philosophies comes, but we need to check whether that endeavor is going to help us or not. If the endeavor is not going to help towards the spiritual quest to realize the highest reality, then it's just waste of the time. That's why it's anyhow, it's not going to help any kind of thing. So that's where one will situate in akrutatmano, means they are not in spiritual platform, but they put the endeavors. So that is the one example. The other one is in Srimad Bhagavatam, same 10 to 32. So where it says, this verse is saying, E anyat aravindaksha vimukta manina. So in this verse, like, here it says the non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances, they endeavor, they put like their efforts to do the severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position, may think themselves liberated. Their intelligence is impure. They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. So what is it saying? Even if anybody put the endeavors, if that endeavor is not going to make us realize the supreme reality, that is Krishna, then that they are going to fall down. So in that same purport, like in that verse purport, Prabhupada writes, Prabhupada writes, it does not matter whether one is karmi, jnani, yogi, philanthropist, politician, or whatever. If one has no love for the lotus feet of the Lord, one falls down. That is the verdict given by Lord Brahma in this verse. So this verse is spoken by Lord Brahma, and Brahma is giving this verdict, like, Prabhupada is saying Brahma is giving this verdict. So until unless, what I'm going to say now on is the last sentence of purport, which says Prabhupada. So here it's saying only those who are actually in yoga system and have realized the self, the world, and the Supreme Lord. In other words, the bhakti yogis, those engaged in pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness, can understand how things are taking place. So why Prabhupada is stressing bhakti yogis, and especially who are engaged in pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness. So these words are making strength, like, authentication, giving, like, until unless one get love towards the lotus feet of Krishna, whoever they are, wherever they're situated, it's tough to they're going to fall down directly. Prabhupada is saying that's what. And one more verse in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:4-20, Krishna says to Uddhava this verse, and here clearly Krishna says, Na sadayati mam yogo na sankyam dharma uddhava na swadhyayas tapastyago yata bhaktir mamojjita. So this what Krishna is saying, my dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees bring me under their control. I cannot be thus controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, or renunciation. So Krishna directly told to Uddhava this one. And in the same purport, Prabhupada says, one may make Krishna the goal of mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, etc. Yet such activities do not please the Lord as much as direct loving service, which one practices by hearing and chanting about the Lord and executing his mission. So that's what Prabhupada mentions in this purport. So that one more reference. Now this is how we can situate in the spiritual platform. Is this is the verse we can. I want to conclude this whole topic with this verse. So this verse is from Brahma Samhita. Lord Brahma spoke this verse. So this verse is Brahma Samhita 559. It says, "Pramanais tat sat achare."
Hare Krishna.
It's frozen. I'm still here, so I think it's not ours, it's hers, I think that's frozen.
Okay.
I'm using a new audio device. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, very well.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Thank you.
She's joining back.
Yay. Oh, that's pretty. That's very pretty.
Hare Krishna. Can
Hello,
you?
it's nice to see you again.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Sorry about that. I don't know what is happening to this one. Okay, so I don't know where I got disconnected. I was talking about the Brahma Samhita verse, right?
Yes, you were just about to quote verse 59.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, thank you. So I'll like conclude all this talk with this Brahma Samhita 559. That is, the highest devotion is attained by slow degrees by the method of constant endeavor for self-realization with the help of scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, and perseverance in practice. So there are three things in this one. So first one is the highest devotion is attained by slow degrees by the method. So slow degrees. So it's not one day endeavor, like we can attain spiritual platform and in one day or a certain period, but it's a keep going process. So it's a slow degrees one can attain by the method of constant endeavor. So that's why it's a abhyasa nirantaram. Abhyasa means endeavor, nirantaram means constantly. So one should endeavor constantly for self realization. So with the help of scriptural evidences. So the main scriptures we use, like devotional service, Prabhupada mentions here the purport is Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So and Vedas, Puranas, everything. So that scriptural evidence and theistic conduct. So what is the theistic conduct? How can we get this kind theoretical knowledge with these scriptures? Is in the by listening from the sadhus. Sadhus are the who are the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. So when we listen from them, we will get the theistic theoretical knowledge. Then from that theoretical knowledge, what we are going to do is we are going to exercise the knowledge, like by performing services like chanting or deity worship or hearing or whatever, like it pleases, like to the 9 devotional services we can do. So but by that one, what is going to happen, that knowledge, the theoretical knowledge with that exercises is going to make practical. how we can see the scriptures in a practical way. So that practicality is going perseverance in practice. That is going to lead us to determine towards the goal of the spiritual life. So what the scriptures, first of all, the scriptures makes our sight right. It's clear and right. And those with the eyes of knowledge, that is called as Jnana Chakshu. That's what like the previous verse says. So when we take the shelter of scriptures and we can attain the knowledge, and with that eyes of knowledge, one can see the soul. So that soul, with that soul, from that one studying the scriptures, we get the theoretical knowledge. By serving the pure devotees, we get the practical perceive of this knowledge. So like when we heard the pastime of any pastime from the Srimad Bhagavatam, we get connected by practically doing that one. So that practicality comes by pure devotees association. So the theoretical knowledge gets into practice by transforming knowledge into actions. How can we transform that actions? In the mode of service, by chanting, by glorifying the holy name, by serving lords and devotees and Supreme Lord. So, and that mood, that service, whatever that activity we are doing, it should be for the pleasure of Krishna. And these actions or service is all this process is called as purification. So when the purification starts, that purification is going to transform the theoretical propositions, whatever we got from the scriptures, into spiritual realizations. So realization is nothing but like, practically they see that scripture in their life. That's why Bhagavad Gita is giving solutions till now. Wherever we are, whatever conditions we are, till now that is giving the solutions. Whenever distressed, let's read the Bhagavad Gita. That gives a solution, because that knowledge is going to make, that theoretical knowledge is going to make it as a applicable in a practical life. In that way, that knowledge is turned to this realization. Means I realize, like we will ask, like, what is your realization on this past time? So I realize it from this past time, so and so. So that realizations comes when we put that knowledge, scriptural knowledge, in practical. So that is the one. Krishna is that to that one. Krishna offers himself very easiest way to make himself available to all the devotees, like to relish in the form of holy names, deities, and scriptures, like that. So those are the easy accessible. Through them we can perceive the Krishna. So this purificatory experiences, the chanting and everything, which will not make us to, which will make us to disincline towards the material desires. So what are these actions or these services are going to help us? Means, first of all, from Jnana Chakshu we see the reality, and second thing, simultaneously the purifications happens, and through this purification we come to know, we that the yogis or transcendental sphere practices, they put the endeavors at the same time with the guidance of the spiritual master. So in that process, they see the reality, and slowly the inclination towards this material existence is going to distasteful. They don't feel like taste for this material enjoyment. Slowly it get decreased. So it also makes us closer, more spiritual experiences. We can feel like do want to do more for the pleasure of Krishna. When we please Krishna, automatically when Krishna get pleased, every living entity is going to get pleased. So that is how the pastime comes, like Akshaya Patra, Draupadi comes, like Durvasa Muni comes, like hunger. Then as a short and script, like crisp, like Krishna creates the rice and the like vessel, and he takes that little bit grain, and due to that Krishna felt satisfied. Then Durvasa Muni also went to take a bath, and there he felt like too much in the stomach, and he also felt satisfied. So when Krishna feels happy or satisfied, then every other living entity are satisfied. So to please Krishna, all our activities should be for the pleasure of Krishna. So this kind of absorption in the spiritual activities, how much we get absorbed, that much closer we will go towards to Krishna, and that much closer we will get, we will feel wonderful experiences in our spiritual platform. And this cycle of purification and absorption will gradually culminate in sublime spiritual practice realizations. So that leads us, it's a practical. So that's what Prabhupada always says, Krishna consciousness is very practical. Engaging in devotional service, Krishna's reciprocation, it's like a direct experience, pratyakshavagama. So with that one reciprocation, with everything, each step learning something, each step, nothing is going to wane in any in devotional service. So this is the how the purification and devotional practice is going to happen in Krishna consciousness, and through this practice, one can situate in the on the spiritual platform. So to summarize this verse, so far, this verse is going to describe two kind of people. One, transcendentalist who put endeavor and they situated on spiritual platform. Then second one is they put the endeavor, but misguided or misdirected. They don't have the developed mind, so they can't situated on the spiritual platform. Those are the two words, akrutatmanaha and achetasaha. So we discussed like a example of blind man seeing the paint. There is no use and production. And when the blind man go through the process of getting the eyes, then there is a production. So in the same way, the endeavor, the desire and the strive towards the spirituality is not enough. The willpower and endeavor is not enough in the spiritual quest. We need the guidance to from the to where to take that guidance. We need to take from right parampara system, the spiritual master. The spiritual master is going to guide us, and with him we are going to read the scriptures. So to get the highest degree of bhakti, one has to go through three things. One is the study of the scriptures, scriptural evidence, theistic conduct, that is the knowledge, listening from the spiritual master, and with that one, Gnana Chakshu will come. From the Gnana Chakshu, they can perseverance in practice. So basically, to perceive all these changes in the life and see what is real, what is not real, who is the highest reality, and who is the supreme, who we are, why we are, all these things one can see by taking shelter of the spiritual master and by taking shelter in the scriptures and the Lord and the services for the pleasure of Krishna. So I'll stop here. If anyone have any questions or realizations, please go ahead. Thank
I
you.
guess I have oh yeah, that was very nice class, and I'm really grateful to have been able to have received some of that information. All of it was very beautiful. And I suppose I have a question about you were talking about endeavor and how it takes a lot to kind of focus the mind. And I feel like I kind of have I don't know how to, I'm going to say this correctly, so bear with me as I kind of look for the words for it.
No problem.
I have a very unique energy system in my body, and sometimes I have a very difficult time with absorbing energy. If I go to a location or if I sense something, it can be very overpowering for me. And I've noticed that some of the practices, like offering all meals to Krishna, which is what I've done for a while, the Maha Mantra, it was, I enjoy the Maha Mantra. I enjoy interacting with Krishna, and he takes my entire day in all wonderful ways. But I find that sometimes if I focus too much, I can't get out of whatever it is that I'm doing, and then I don't eat properly. So I've had to stop offering meals as much because I haven't been eating properly, because I get too fixed on it, and then my body becomes tired, and then I sleep because I'm so physically exhausted, and then I dream of him while I'm sleeping, but I'm not being as nice to my body as I should be. And I guess I'm having some trouble balancing, and I've been doing a lot better lately. And I've been trying to find online work. And I know I don't mean for this to be about me, but I guess I'm saying that I need some guidance. I worry about taking a guru because I don't know if there's a lot of people that are this energetically sensitive. And I have a lot of different things that I use to keep myself on the earth. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
I guess I wonder if I took a guru, does the guru, is there an understanding about some people who are very sensitive? And is there an understanding of the goal being Krishna? And also I worry about would a guru understand this and know how to work with me when I say, look, I need to take a bath right now? Or look, something's coming at me, I need to do something about it. Please wait a minute. Do you know what I mean? If I feel some harmful energy coming through and I need to take care of it. You are loved very dearly, Billy.
Okay. So I can tell you one thing, Mataji. When you said like you are exhausted sometimes and you are not eating and can't cook meal for the Krishna too. So one thing I understood is we need to keep always Krishna in the center in our any practices. And as you said that really that ecstatic symptoms may come, but as I said, whenever we feel so high in our activities, in spiritual activities, or sometimes we feel so dry, but keep going, because that is the only thing we have to do. One thing is our whatever reciprocation Krishna gives us, that is the peace and empower us to go closer to Krishna. So whatever we do, the activities or services, whatever the chanting or cooking or DT service, whatever we do, it gives enthusiastic. It don't makes us like no, like I'm tired. No. So all the spiritual activities which are makes us, when we keep Krishna in the center, it motivates us and inspires us to go closer to Krishna. So as you said in your example, if you feel so much of like an ecstasy or energetic or can't able to do the things, we need to pull Krishna in the center. So when we do the activities, we have to feel that one, we need to please Krishna. That is the only thing. So when we see ourselves, that we need to check our checkpoints, Mataji, like in our spiritual practices. Like one checkpoint is like in four Kumara says to Prutu Maharaj in that section, they say so one symptom of spiritual advancement is like not taste towards the material enjoyment. If one want to check their spiritual advancement, they can check like how much he is tasteful towards to the material enjoyment or towards material things. So that is one checkpoint we can put in our spiritual advancement. But thing is, when we keep Krishna in the center, then when we try to please Krishna, all the actions are makes us to go closer to Krishna. Nothing is going to make us like not active or something. No, devotional service is itself is transcendental. So it won't any time make us dull or guidance or something. And coming to the point of spiritual master, so spiritual master guides us in like giving instructions how we can serve to Krishna. It's like it's not a specific instruction each person or something. When any critical like life like can't able to practice or very critical situation is there, then we can guide like we can go ahead and ask personal guidance. But through his lectures or through his instructions, through his activities, by example, spiritual master always shows what he is expecting, the spiritual master is expecting from disciples towards to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So that is there. So I can say that one like try to please to Krishna, how much we can do, and go towards to the Krishna. That's what I can say, Mataji. But anyone in the call would like to add any comments or points for the Mataji's question, please go
I
ahead.
am so grateful to you for your answer. I'm grateful to you for your explanation and answering my question.
Thank you, Mataji.
Krishna
Vallabhi,
Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji, and thank you for your explanation and your lesson. And have a nice night. Good night, and Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Vallabhi Gopi, what was the Brahma Samhita verse that you quoted? What is Sanskrit?
Yeah, translation, Mataji.
No, Sanskrit. Is there a Sanskrit for that?
Sanskrit. Yes, Mataji. It's Brahma Samhita 5:59. Give me 1 second. Oh, it's 5:59, Mataji.
Mhm.
My system got stuck, like, I can't read now.
Oh, you can't see. Okay, I'll check it out. 5:59, you
My
said.
system got stuck. I was joined in the phone. So I don't know the words like by heart, Mataji. So I can't say, but I can send the link 5:59 if
Okay,
you.
thanks. Yeah, I like the Brahma Samhita and I liked the translation, but I wanted the Sanskrit, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, give me 1 second, Mataji. I'm opening now. Meanwhile, time, if anyone have any questions or comments, please go ahead. So I'll read the translation, Sanskrit. That time. Any other questions or comments? Okay, the Sanskrit is Pramanais tat sad acharais tad abhyasair nirantaram bodhayan atmanatmanam bhaktim api uttamam labet.
This is Brahma Samhita, you said?
Yes, Mataji, Brahma Samhita 5:59.
But doesn't Brahma Samhita end with Govindam Adi Purusham?
Actually, there is a variety of Brahma Samhita. It's not only the Govindam Adi Purusham verses, but there are some other verses too.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I like the verse. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. 5:59, you said, huh?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thanks.
Any other comments or realizations? Sure, Mataji, would you like to add anything, Mataji?
No, those last few verses of the Brahma Samhita are very instructive. They're very
Yeah,
nice.
I had actually not read that, Jiva, so I was
Really?
curious.
Yeah, a lot of people stop with the
Govindam ones, yeah.
no, with the Shreya Kanta Kanta Parama.
Yeah.
They usually end with that, but there's
Yeah.
few verses after that are very nice. There's several before that as well.
Mhm.
You skip from one and then go to something like, what is it, 29 or something? But yeah, if you sponsor Janmashtami, you may just get a Brahma Samhita as a gift.
Oh,
A little spoiler there.
I think I have one somewhere here, but
Probably, but
I probably can't find it. I think I have the translation of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, but I can't find it. So
yeah. I mean, it's so beautiful. You can have one in every room. So whenever
right, God,
It's time to get another
Bhagavad
one,
Gita.
Mataji.
What?
Huh?
I'm saying for Mataji, it's time to get another one.
Yes.
That's true. And at least the Bhagavad Gita, I have one in every room. So wherever I'm sitting, I can pick it
They
up.
are literally, they exude the energy of God. I found that having them near me literally is like having someone with me. I mean, it is God. It is God. It's knowledge of God. It makes it God itself. But having these books near me and in every room, it literally fills the house with radiant, loving energy. So you can never have too many books about God. So I would definitely say get as many as you can.
Yeah. Deities.
Book deities, huh?
Yeah. Krishna comes in every form. That's his book form. So, thank you.
I found it online, Vallabhi Gopi. So
yeah, it's in Veda base, Mataji.
yeah, it's in Veda base. Yeah.
Yeah.
Manastat sarachayastarapyase nirantaram bodhayanat manatmanam bhaktimapi uttamam labet.
Yeah, I have to study the Brahma Samhita after the last verse that we normally chant. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in Seattle, I used to sit in with the Gurukula girls and say it with them in the morning. And they did, they would say all of them to the end from, I think, number 29, one, and then skip to 29, and then say it all the way to the end.
Okay. So I guess this is my chance after Janmashtami to start chanting the other verses, huh?
Yeah. It's amazing how much Prabhupada quotes Brahma Samhita when you're reading his books. There's so many references to Brahma Samhita. And I'm thinking, Lord Brahma is head of our sampradaya. After Krishna, it kind of behooves us to honor him in such a way to, study his verses. And it's a description of the spiritual world, Prabhupada.
Yeah. I mean, Brahma Samhita verses are my favorite verses of all,
They're beautiful.
everything. Yeah, but I had never really studied these verses after the general ones we chant all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vallabhi Gopi.
Thank you, Mataji. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you.
You are a very sweet lady. Thank you for teaching us today.
You have a very kind heart, Mataji. Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Every beauty that I have is borrowed from God. None of it's mine. And I love you very much.
Thank you.
Kripa Sindhubhye Charvati Tampa Manebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaha. Vaishnavrinda ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.